All right, here we go. Welcome to another episode of Real Well Radio. We're here with Jim Butz Jr. from Crown Home Mortgage.
Crown Home Mortgage, baby.
We got it. Okay.
Yep.
You know, me and Jim, I feel like, and I don't know, I'm speaking for you, but I really feel like we can sit here for probably hours on end talking about real estate, recovery, fitness, mindset, doing stuff outside of your comfort zone. But the main reason why I want to have you on is you are a published fucking author, my man.
Yeah. Luckily, self-published. I went through the rigors of writing a book, and it's funny. I have a really strange. I don't even know how much I talked about this. I have a strange relationship with my dad. He left when I was 7, and moved. Got divorced with my mom, and we're in contact. And it's not like we hate each other or anything like that, but we're just not really close. And he does a lot of different things for business, and he helps people write books, and he helps people become Amazon bestsellers, and he does business plans, and he actually had a company called SoCal Buzz out in San Diego, California, which was like Shark Tank before Shark Tank came around.
Wow.
And he said, I can help you write a book. And I was like, I want to do this myself.
All right.
And it took me like 18 months to write it.
Hold on. Before we dive into the book stuff, I wanted to go off of your plan too, how you do your show a little bit. Give everybody, it could be quick, whatever you want to do, like you did with me when I was on yours.
Okay.
Also, Mr. Mortgage, YouTube, podcast.
A little bit different here, being the one to answer the questions.
Yeah, that's. I really appreciate you having me on. We were going back and forth for a long time to do it, and it was a really cool experience. So I wanted to return the favor, and you were part of me wanting to start this because what I wanted to do was nurture business-to-business relationships with people and allow them to have a platform and also, create content for everybody and do that kind of thing. But one of the things you do is in the beginning, you tell people, tell us how you got here. So, let's do that.
So the quick Reader's Digest version is I grew up in South Jersey, was always somewhat entrepreneurial. That kind of led to a not really good path of selling drugs. Because that was entrepreneurial for me. And I got arrested, and I got in a bunch of trouble, and I was like, okay, we'll do some other things, and I'm somewhat manipulative, so I convinced my mom that if she helped me to finance a restaurant that I wouldn't sell drugs anymore. So she did that, and that failed, and just one after another of business opportunities in life didn't work. And I kind of went through the dig it a little deeper kind of bottom thing. And then when I turned 26, I had a daughter. I had a bunch of stuff in life. And I really just said, this is not going to work. If I don't make some real serious changes in my life, these things are not going to work out. And I got clean. I went back to college, got a couple degrees, won some awards, got to really show my daughter at the time, she was like 7, that going to school was really important. Did all kinds of stuff, got my education degree. We realized that we didn't read the rules and regulations properly for being a teacher. And my counselor thought it was 5 years from the time that you committed a crime. It was actually 5 years from the time your sentence was done, which was 5 years probation, so I couldn't be a teacher like I went to school for. And I got into the mortgage industry. And that was kind of where the first time our paths crossed.
Right.
Which was like 2010, I think, at Village Home Mortgage.
Sounds about right.
You were there. I think you and I were there for like a week together. I think you were just on your way out as I was on my way in to get into that. And I've been kind of in the mortgage industry ever since. Been trying to be a positive example for people, in the recovery field and the giving back thing. I had a couple people save my life kind of thing where I would definitely not be where I'm at right now if it wasn't for a couple people, a couple serendipitous moments where someone's popped in and hugged me and told me everything was going to be okay, or someone gave me an example of what I needed to do in my life. And that was like life-changing. So I kind of have dedicated a portion of my life to that giving back thing and to helping.
It's amazing, and I am a big fan of anyone who has ever fallen flat on their fucking face and, got themselves up, and, I'm one of those people. So,
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, Part of this podcast, I also, dip into every entrepreneur that I bring on here is the wellness aspect.
Yeah.
Like everybody, and I've seen on social media, have a pretty vicious morning routine. I had a health coach on, and I was talking about mine. And like mine is like really simple. It's like some meditation. I did start doing. You ever hear of oil pulling?
Yeah, sure.
So I started doing that because of him. That's semi new. That's just like a mouthwash thing for 5-10 minutes. I do some meditation, and it's really a quiet time for me, being still to get ready for my day. But talk about yours a little bit.
So I got to a point in time in my life, I've been clean it'll be 26 years in April. I got to a point in my life where like a lot of stuff was really good, but a lot of stuff wasn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? My marriage fell apart. I had some big shiny fancy toys. I lost a lot of the big shiny fancy toys. And then about 2.5 years ago, I just said, it doesn't make any sense to be clean and not be really spiritually centered, aggressively seeking that all around wellness, not just a financial wellness. The concept of I didn't put a drug in my body today was not a victory any longer. You know what I mean? That was just what's expected. And then it eventually finished up in a crescendo with having my 7th child, my fourth child. I have 3 stepped kids, and I had 3 blood children. We just had our 4th, my current wife and I. And I sat down and looked at things, and I was like, I'm going to be 52. If I don't really, really, really change a few things in my life, I am going to give my daughter maybe 17 to 20 years of me.
Right.
And that's totally not fair to do to her, be bringing her into this world and leaving her that quickly. So I'm a big believer in surrounding myself with people that are way smarter than me, and listening to people that are experts in whatever area you want to learn about, whatever area you want to go. I like to find the 4 or 5 smartest people in that area, and I started to consume a guy named Max Lugaberry, who has a podcast called Eat Like a Genius, Andrew Huberman, who is like next level Ivy League college, Gary Brecka, David Sinclair, all these guys that are doing anti-aging stuff. I am probably a Gary Brecka fanboy kind of thing. I love what he does. His big thing is aging is the aggressive pursuit of comfort.
Yeah.
And so I started to incorporate a bunch of different things. I've been doing Andy Frisella's 75 Hard for off and on for a couple of years now, and I started to just do the stuff that Gary Brecka really talks about. I wake up, since my daughter has been born, I made the choice to revolve my day around her waking up. I spend the first hour of her day with her, no matter what's going on, no matter if I'm in the state of New Jersey. So I wake up. She tends to wake up like 6:30, so I wake up about 5:15. I go outside. I stand in my front yard to get my 5 to 7 minutes of grounding in. I sit on my front porch. I do 7 to 10 minutes of breath work, which is 30 breaths, deep, vigorous breaths in and out, hold my breath, whatever the Wim Hof thing that they do. And then I go and take a ice cold shower. And most people don't have well water. Most people live in like the regular city. In December, the well water is ridiculous, man. I'm like, my wife laughs at me. I'm like the teacher in the Charlie Brown episodes. I am cursing with my hand over my mouth because it's so cold, but whatever. And I get that done, and then I try to go about my day and be relatively healthy. Sometimes if I'm There are segments of my time where I'm doing like 75 hard. I'm doing something where I'm vigorous and there's no cheating and there's no nothing. And then there's other times where I'll still do the basic stuff, and then I'll eat some cookies and some pizza.
Right, and it's like, it goes back to like, and this is all really, really good stuff, and I, subscribe to all Gary Brackett's stuff too. Do my best. I have a really hard time of doing that breath work and doing nothing but that breath work. But like doing something is always better than nothing.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like that is always, what I'm pushing. And the compounding, over time, not just with investments and interest, but workouts.
Yeah.
Fitness, like a really great hard workout one day is not as good as 7 okay workouts.
Sure. That's a big thing for me because I'm a perfectionist, and I have in my ingrained nature, if I'm not good at something, I won't do it. Yep. I won't play a sport that I suck at. I never made my bed because I hate seeing the bed messy. So I'm like, dude, this is stupid. I never did it. My wife hates it, but I just have never done it. So, but it's tough for me to train my mindset that getting up and going to the gym and having a shitty workout is 100 times better than not going to the gym and saying it was going to be a bad workout, so I'll go tomorrow and have a good workout.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said...
Just showing up.
Sorry, good.
Yeah, good.
I think I said this when I was on yours. Like, I try to implement these habits, do them so much, every day, daily, whatever, until the point where if I don't do them, I feel so bad that I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
The
guilt and shame and like I said, I consume a ton of stuff, and Ed Milet talks about it all the time. It becomes your standard, right. That's just what you expect. And now, I'm a big believer in most of that. So if I go 3 or 4 days without doing my basic stuff, I feel like I'm a horrible failure, and I know that there's a lot of people in the world that I try not to have around me that are like, oh, don't worry about it. You're doing great.
Right.
It's funny. My wife is awesome and I love her. And she tries to support me in every possible way. You know what I mean? She will never criticize me. She will never, say anything inflammatory towards me. But every once in a while, I'm like, babe, it's not okay. It's not all right. You know what I mean? Like, I need you to say, you're going to get fat again if you keep that up. And it's just not in her nature. She's not that kind of person. Those words will never come out of her mouth. But that's why I have other coaches that will say that to me and will give it to me straight.
It's like if I can't keep a promise to myself, how am I going to keep a promise to my clients, my kids, my family? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that was one of the things, playing out the whole tape, that's a recovery thing, knowing that it's not even a promise to me, it's a promise to my kids. You know what I mean? Like, if I don't do that stuff, yes, I will be unhappy, but the reality is, my kids didn't make the choice to have me as a parent. I made the choice to have them as children. So I have to constantly do the stuff that's going to put them in the best position. I don't want somebody raising my kids. I don't want another human being coming through and being the male figure in their life. So I have to be healthy. I have to be the best form of me. And that was the toughest argument that I had with myself. Going to the gym, doing all these things, becoming the best version of me is really what I'm committed to doing. Because if I'm not the best version of me, I'm cheating them.
Being the example, they're watching. No matter what they're saying, they're watching.
Yeah.
And I agree 100%. Like, our kids don't owe us shit. They didn't ask to get brought.
For sure.
No, that's really good stuff, and we covered a lot of stuff. So let's kind of get into the book. So, optimizing failure, turning painful losses into a lifetime of wins. Like, that's an amazing title in itself. How'd you come up with that?
So really, that wasn't the first title.
Well, of course.
The first title was Embracing Failure.
Okay.
And that was already a book, and that was already taken. So I was like, well, let me think of another word to go through, because Embracing Failure was already a website, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, you know what, man, like, the word optimizing, really from a business standpoint and really from an actual meaning standpoint, optimizing is really what you want to do anyway, you know? So that's kind of what we went through. And I did it because I got to a point in time in my life where I felt like I failed so much, and you know, there's a bunch of stories in the book, and like my whole life was a bunch of failures, and there were many times where I failed, and it was the most beautiful thing in the world. And I've done forensic audits of horrible times in my life, and there always was this wonderful gift at the end of it that sprung from the failure. And I failed in like 2011, right after you left Village Capital. We had a business that failed, and it took me out of commission for years, and I didn't want to fail again. And what I found was that I just had a different definition to failure. And then looking at other people in the world, we've totally changed the way we view failure as a society, and we're not letting our kids fail, and we're not keeping score at children's sporting events anymore because we don't want them to fail. We're bubble wrapping our kids because we don't want them to fail. We're doing everything we can so that our kids don't fail, and in reality, we're failing as parents. Because now we got a bunch of kids that are 16, 17, 18 years old who've never failed before, that start to fail, and they can't handle it because you've never showed them an example of how to fail because you're scared or you feel it makes you weak or whatever. Now your kids are falling into literally drugs, whether it's a prescription drug or a street drug, because they can't handle the feelings.
Or the video game drug.
Yeah, and whatever. They're looking for an escape to cope with the feelings that come behind failure, when really, if you just looked at it the other way and said, I want to fail. I want to not succeed. I want to set my goals so high that I don't achieve them every time. That failing would become something to feel good about and not to feel bad about, and to know that you're pushing yourself, and to know that, you know, like, goals are supposed to not always be achieved. You know, when you talk to somebody and they say, oh, I achieved every goal that I had for the past 4 years, I think to myself, you're setting your sights so low, man. Like,
once you can wrap your head around and really, you know, embrace that there are no mistakes or failures, there's just lessons, right?
Yeah.
It's a game changer, man.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's so scared to fail, prevents them from even trying. And the only way that you lose is if you quit or you don't try.
Yeah.
You know?
And you, like, there was a bunch of different things, but the main thing for me was my marriage. You know, like, I grew up in a broken family. My dad wasn't around. My mom worked a lot, blah, 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 whatever. So when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, I said, I'm never going to do that. You know, I'm never going to do that. No matter what happens, I'm going to be there for my kids. I'm going to raise my kids. I'm going to be the most active father, blah, 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 you know. And then through a bunch of different things, my marriage failed. And 90% of it was my fault because of the things that I was doing with money, property, and prestige, and not family, blah, 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 whatever. And I got to the point where, like, I lost almost everything that I valued. You know, the kids, the wife, the stuff of the everyday coming home, and having people there. And after it was all done, and now, you know, looking back at it, I have an awesome relationship with my ex-wife. I have a great relationship with my kids. I have a great relationship with my new wife, and all this stuff that was there. And everything came from that point of failure. Everything sprung from the thing that I feared the most of losing, and I stayed stuck in a situation for years because I was so afraid to fail and to lose that, and to be that person that I said I would never be. And then after it happened, I was like, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I literally thank my ex-wife probably 3 or 4 times a year for having the courage to leave me, because I was totally okay with being reasonably unhappy for the rest of my life. I never would have ended the relationship. I never would have let her leave. We weren't sleeping in the same room. We were somewhat friendly, but there was no love. There was no connection. There was no nothing. And I would have been just fine with that until the kids were gone, and then would have went on my other route. And she had the courage to say our kids deserve to see a better example. We need to be better than this, and we both deserve to be happy, and we're not happy, so I'm going to leave. And I was like, the first 15 seconds, I was like, what do you mean you're leaving? Get back, you know.
Yeah.
Then after it settled, I was like, you know. And like I said, it was the best thing. And then I continued to look at it and go, man, every time I failed, this was the gift from that failure. Every time I thought that nothing could be worse, or every time I got kicked in the balls and I thought, this is it, I looked and I saw, boom, boom, boom. These 3 gifts were direct results of that failure. And it just was like, I need to write a book.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you know, this is, I'm going to say this in like the most non-religious way possible, but, you know, they say like you want to make God laugh, like make plans.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that's 100% the truth. And still to this day, I think we're both pretty similar. Like, I'm not religious. I am spiritual. I pray. Yeah. My God doesn't have a face, whatever. If you do, cool, no big deal. I don't care. I'm not a big believer in organized religion. I'm a big believer in spiritual reciprocity and energy and things like that. But that's for sure the truth. Every time I'm like, I know exactly how this has to turn out. It's horrible. And then also, you know, there's a big recovery thing that's like, if you would have made a list of what you wanted when you got here, you would have sold yourself so short. And that's always the case. I tell myself, I know exactly what I need. I know exactly what I want. This is what I deserve. This is what I have to get. And it never works out the way I want it to. And in the moment, I'm like a little spoiled child. And I'm like, I wanted that. I said I needed this, blah, blah, blah. And then when I look back afterwards, I'm like, dude, you sold yourself so short. If you would have got what you wanted, you would be so much less happy than you are now, you know.
Take your hands off the wheel and just, you know, keep doing the next right thing and being good to people and, you know, bringing value to people. And it'll all work out the way it's supposed to. That I say that more than I probably should, but I love that saying.
Yeah. my first sponsor in the world said, just do the footwork and leave the results to your higher power. And I repeat that in my head all the time, because whenever I try to control the results, I mess it up worse than anything else. And then whenever I'm just doing the footwork, focus on footwork, whatever the results are, if I let go of that, I'm always like, thank God I didn't try to control that. You know,
are there any strategies or principles that you talk about in the book for someone who is just, because it's always like, just do it. Like the advice is always just do it. Don't be scared. But like in the moment when somebody's making the decision to take the leap, is there anything that you would recommend, strategies, principles, just to keep in mind while they're making that jump?
So yeah, but it's kind of along the line of what you said. Like, so over the past couple years, I've been really blessed to be around really successful people, way more successful than me. You know, like $100 million, $250 million, $1 billion. And I talk to all of them, and most of the time when I'm done talking to them, I'm like, they're not smarter than me.
Right.
You know, they're not smarter than me. I'm not overly impressed by much of what they said or much of what they did, but they always have one thing in common. They are action-based people. They don't sit around and let paralysis by analysis or, yeah, sure, someone wants to look at some ROI figures or whatever, blah, 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 but they're not going to sit there and, you know, triple check it or whatever. Most people that are super successful, in my experience, are the ones that just act. They have an idea and they act. And they say, I'm not sure this is going to work, but I'm going to hone the craft as I go along the path. I'm going to get better. I'm going to change. It's kind of that ready, fire, aim process. And that's what most of them have in common. And that's what a lot of people that aren't successful lack. Most people wait and wait and wait for the perfect time. And the truth is there's never a perfect time. And the perfect time was 6 months ago when you didn't do what you should have done, you know?
Right. And, you know, I have a saying, it's in my office down the hall, and I have it written down or it's on the wall, but I forget what it is, but it's something like procrastination is the thief of success, something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, it's just like, just start it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least you'll know.
Yeah, for sure. And you're, like the being a perfectionist like I am, thinking that I'm going to get it right every time is unrealistic. You know what I mean? We're really unrealistic as a society all the way around. Like, thinking that you're going to meet someone that you like everything about is unrealistic. You know what I mean? Like, if I like half of what somebody has to bring, I'm really happy. I hope someone doesn't like everything about me. That would be weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we think exactly the same about everything, that's horrible. Thinking that you're going to do something that you've never done before and completely hit it on the head every time is ridiculous. You're setting yourself up to fail. Just know that you're not going to quit, and you're going to get better, and you're going to continue to improve and look and revise and go and optimize and go through and blah blah. That's really the win. You know what I mean? If you go into it thinking I have to be the best at this right from the start, you're going to quit. Because you're not allowing yourself to fail. You're not allowing yourself to grow. And I believe that that's what most people's problem is. Most people expect, they watch TV and they watch video games and they see these friggin' Hallmark movies and all these stories, like one in a bajillion get it right the first time. But the reality is you're going to suck. And that's the reality of it. And if you wake up the next day and say, I just want to suck less, eventually you'll be an expert.
And also, like, almost nothing in the world like needs to be perfect to work. And
Yeah.
and on top of that, what's perfect to me isn't perfect to you. It
Sure.
might not be perfect to a client, or whatever the adventure is that you're trying to make so perfect before you make that leap. It's all really good stuff.
Yeah, I love it, and allowing myself the grace to be imperfect was one of the toughest things that I had to deal with, because a lot of the previous generation of ours filled our heads with bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the stuff my mom and that generation told me, they didn't do it maliciously. They didn't do it in a way to hurt someone. But saying things like, never let them see you cry, don't show emotion, don't blah, 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 this and that, always go here. That was like, some horrible information. And one of the biggest things for me was the scarcity mindset. And I know it comes from people that were born in the Depression era, and literally they had to, like what's the Russell Crowe movie where he's the boxer, where they have to take the piece of bologna and cut it in 5 different, Cinderella Man. They had to cut it in different pieces so they have enough food to get through, and that was the mentality of them. But there is enough for everybody. It's not a scarcity mindset. You don't have to constantly hoard and try to worry about things. Really, it's the other way around. The universe is plentiful, and if you go and operate yourself from an abundance mentality and think that there's enough for everybody, you can share your secrets. Like, it's mortgage and real estate. Are there really secrets that someone has, that no one else knows? When I find that I get close to 5 or 6 people and I share something that I'm doing that's winning, it makes them want to share something that they're doing that's winning. So then we can both grow, or we can all grow as a group, and we can achieve more. And the high tides raise the boats, or whatever that stupid saying is.
Yeah.
I believe in that 100%. I think that's one of the things that the previous generation would never ever say. And I grew up in the restaurant business, and everyone was always like, never tell them your secret sauce. Never tell someone, how did you make that wing sauce? I can't tell you how to make that wing sauce. Like, come on, there's only 6 friggin' ingredients. How tough can it be, Oh, we got this, see, they can't do that. And now it's like, this is what I do. And I want to win, and I want you to win. I don't understand the philosophy of being the only winner in the room. Like, how lonely and horrible of a life would it be for everyone around you to be poor and you to be wealthy?
Right.
I want everyone I love to be wealthy. I want everyone I work with to be wealthy. I want everybody to win. Don't get me wrong, I'm competitive. I want everybody to come in second place, just below me. You know what I mean? But I want everyone to win.
But as you were talking about with those huge goals, like even coming in second place, if you were thinking in your mind you'd come in 8th, it's
Yeah.
It's really good stuff. I mean, I had a couple more questions, but you really answered all of them.
Okay.
In your spiel. So real quick, tell everybody how to get in touch with you. We will post a link for the book.
Sure. The book is on Amazon.com. Right now, because I'm a little bit of a slacker, I still don't have the print book done yet. I have it done. I just don't have it processed. You can get it on your Kindle. I have the Audible book set up, not achieved yet, but that'll be.
Are you going to be reading that?
Oh, I am going to be. So, did you ever read David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me?
I love the mentality. I just can't with him.
Okay.
I did half of it. I just couldn't get through it.
I loved his book because at the end of every chapter, he talked about it, right? So that's what we're going to do. I have four people, and they're going to alternate reading a chapter, and at the end of the chapter, them and myself will talk about the previous chapter.
That's really cool.
So it'll be like a back and forth Audible thing we're going to do. I have the four people. We just haven't gotten it all down there. But you can buy the Kindle version on Amazon.com, and it's Optimizing Failure. You can find me on every single social media platform that's out there. If you want to support the Mr. Mortgage podcast, it's askmrmortgage.com is the website. On YouTube, it's Mr. Mortgage, Ask Mr. Mortgage, and then on TikTok, it's Mr. Mortgage's Neighborhood, I think. That's all. If you search Mr. Mortgage, there's only one dude with a bald head and a Mr. Rogers outfit on it. You'll see it pretty easily, for sure.
Oh God, that's really good stuff.
Yeah.
And similarly to the end of your show, I ask a question too.
Okay.
You asked me a sports one.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you if you could have one superpower from any of the comics, whatever, what would it be?
It could be anything?
Yeah.
Okay. I think, I don't know if it counts, but I would like to heal people.
Sure.
You know? That would be the coolest, you know, because there's so much that people go through. It's crazy. I haven't even talked about it. Probably by the time that you produce this, you might have a different answer. But one of the men that are in my life. So I have a super complex family structure. You know, my one daughter that I call my blood daughter is not really my blood daughter. My 21-year-old daughter is my stepdaughter. Her father was in our friend group when we were kids. He passed away when she was 1, and I was her godfather. And then I wound up dating her wife. Dating her mom. That was my first wife. So the exterior family that's involved. So my stepdaughter, who's 21, her dad passed away. His parents are still active in our life, you know. And we just found out that he has a really aggressive form of brain cancer and is on hospice. And he just an awesome guy. Him and his wife they treat my kids like they're their kids, and we do all family functions together. Whenever there's one child that has a birthday party, regardless of what family form they're from, my ex-wife's mom, they all come. We all celebrate all the kids together, regardless of what structure they came from to go through. And that made me think when you said that, like, man, if I could just go over and pat him on the head and make the cancer go away, that would be the most amazing thing, because I think that's what a lot of stuff in the world we can fix, but we can't fix that yet. And that would be awesome to just give someone that gift and allow them to clean that up and move on. That would be awesome.
It's amazing. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Awesome.
Like, subscribe, share, whatever you guys do. Appreciate everybody for watching. And until next time, talk to you guys.